Oh, hello and welcome back. Today I will be harvesting my garlic. It's a little earlier than I would normally do. However, you can see here I've got a couple starting to fall over, which means that they won't store well, so I need to get them out. Last year I had a significant proportion that I'd left too long and didn't store well. And that was a bit of an issue for us. Typically, there's two types of garlic, soft neck and hard neck. This is soft neck, you can tell because there's no scapes, which is the flowering tip. If there was that, it would be hard neck garlic. Typically, soft neck garlic gives a larger bulb and takes less time to grow, but you miss out on the scapes, which are delicious to eat. Yeah, I always grow exclusively soft neck, so and typically how you tell is whether it's ready is the rust you can see on here. It's not too bad at the moment, but it's getting there. You're looking for one or two leaves to have browned and dropped off, because that's your papery covering. As you can see though, these are ready to come up. I've got these two beds. This one I hadn't weeded beforehand. This one I'd weeded a couple of weeks ago. So this one I'll just pull all the bulbs, and then I'll show you what I've got. I'll weed these later on, and these will be reset for other things. Right, I'll bring you back in a little while to show you how it's going. But yeah, I think it'll be looking not too bad. Hold on, and grab my fork. We'll lift one with you just to show you. Try not to pull it up, try to go from underneath. Okay. It's a bit damp because it rained extensively last night, but that's a heck of a bulb. Yeah, so very pleased with that. I'll crack on with these, and then I'll bring you back in a minute once I've pulled them all and show you how I prepare them for curing. Okay, now that's that lot lifted. I did actually weed the beds as I was going along. I just thought it was quicker and easier. Quite a bit. So here's this year's garlic harvest. There's 52 good sized ones and a handful of smalls. One of the wonderful things about garlic is that it's all edible. Unfortunately this year we've had the same issue I had the last 2 years with the same garlic. You can see that it's split on the corm. That will not keep for a good chunk of it. I mean, there's plenty down here like these ones that are fine. These will clean up okay. But a lot of that will have to be dealt with. There are a number of ways you can do it. You can acidify it and put it in oil for the easy garlic kind of stuff, or you can do what I do, which is peel it and freeze it. Quite bluntly. Sometimes I chop it, sometimes I can't be bothered. I put whole cloves in a bag, and when a recipe calls for a whole clove, I bring it out and I hit it with a hammer. Oh, sorry, tenderizer. So yeah, that's the harvest. I'll bring you back in just another couple of minutes once I've got these into the shed to show you how I deal with them, really. Right, okay, so back in the shed now. This is where part of one of my benches. Junk at one end, will be garlic at the other. Got onions on the floor. It's rather full at this time of year. I don't bother to put it in my polytunnel because there are too many holes. I've had issues with rotting off in the past. So yeah, one garlic, fairly straightforward. So all I'll do is I'm doing this one-handed, by the way, so forewarned. Take it down to a reasonable length. That goes in my compost bin. Now I know some people leave the roots on. I don't. Trying to escape. I prefer to take the roots off simply because it gets rid of all the soil. Nice and early on. You can use a knife. I happen to have my secateurs there. All I do is I peel back one layer, to give myself a nice clean shank. Obviously if I'm doing it by two-handed it's a much cleaner picture. Yeah, and I'll clean this up in a minute anyway. Yeah, and then that is just placed there, and it'll be sat there, and I should bring you back in a couple of minutes once I've filled this rack to show you what it looks like when it's done. Okay, so that's this year's garlic spread out to dry. It'll take about 4 weeks. Obviously looks a lot nicer when it's been stripped down. I've had many people say to me, is that long enough in order to plat? And the answer to that is it depends on how good you are at platting. I've got 3 daughters, so I'm pretty good at it. So yeah, that's plenty for me once that dries off. As I mentioned before, I have some really bizarre things happening with some of this garlic. I had it both last year and this year, so you can see that's multiple garlics there with cloves growing halfway up the stem, and odd cloves just growing on the side. As a result of that, I'm not going to be keeping any of this. This is all going to be eaten, and I will replace the entirety of my growing stock next year. I've never seen that before, apart from obviously last year. I just thought maybe it was an environmental thing, but the fact that it's done it 2 years on the row on quite a significant number of these tells me that it's something genetic. Don't know if any of you have previously encountered this, but yeah, it does mean that a good chunk of these are not going to be keepable, so just means a bit of extra processing, that's all. Yeah, I'll when it is dried off in about 4 weeks, I'll show you as I plat it, just to show you what I do. But otherwise, that's the garlic harvest for this year. Probably not quite as much as I'd hoped for. That should get us close, I would say. Get us close. I wouldn't say it'll do the whole year, but it will do most of it. So, right, I'll see you again on the next one.